Hello, guys. Yeah, it's good for us to have math again. Yesterday we talked about how we can change from mixed numbers to improper fractions, and today we're going to talk about how we can change from improper fractions to mixed numbers. But before we begin, let's quickly review the things we talked about yesterday. Okay, so we're going to go over what we discussed yesterday. So yesterday we talked about what proper fractions are. Proper fractions. We talked about improper fractions. Why are my writers? All right. We talked about improper fractions, and then we talked about mixed numbers. All right. So sorry, yesterday we said if we had a fraction where the numerator is smaller than the denominator, we call that a proper fraction. Right? So whenever the numerator is smaller than the denominator, we say it is a proper fraction. But if we have it the other way around, so let's assume we had a fraction like this. Let's say because the numerator is bigger than the numerator is 7, the denominator is 3, we say this is an improper fraction. And I explained it to you yesterday. It doesn't look proper for the number on top to be bigger than the number at the bottom. All right, now there are times that we can have other numbers which are mixed, right? So we have a whole number in the number, and then we have a fraction attached to it. So we call this one mixed numbers. All right. So these are what we're going to talk about today. We're going to see how we can change from a mixed number to... Yesterday we talked about how we can change from mixed numbers to improper fractions. Sorry. So today we're going to talk about how we can change from improper fractions to mixed numbers. All right. So let's begin. So even before we discuss today's part, let's go ahead to review what we talked about yesterday about changing from mixed numbers to improper fractions. So I'm going to take some of the questions, the numbers I gave you yesterday, just to review what we discussed. These are digits or numbers that you find in your note. Sorry, I don't know what's happening to my throat. All right, so let's take this example. 3 2/5. All right, so the whole number here is 3, and then we have a fraction attached to it, 2/5. And we said if we want to change this one to an improper fraction, what do? Well, the first thing we do is that we multiply the denominator by the whole number. So we're always starting from the bottom, the denominator, and then we'll multiply that by the whole number. Whatever answer we get, we keep that in mind, and then we move on to add the numerator we have here. All right, so we start with a multiplication from the bottom, and then we add on top. All right, so here we had it is 5, right? The denominator is 5. So what are we going to do? We multiply 5 by the whole number, which is 3. When we multiply 5 by 3, what do we get? 15. So 5 times 3 gives us 15. And then we said whatever answer we get here, we're going to add to this. All right? Let me write the addition sign well. We're going to add to the 2, the numerator. So what is 5 times sorry, what is 15 plus 2? 15 plus 2 gives us 17. All right, so that gives us our new numerator in the improper fraction. And then the denominator, you remember what we talked about, what we said about the denominator? We just maintain this denominator here. We just bring it at the bottom here. The denominator does not change. All right, so we get 17 fifths, or 17 over 5. All right. All right, so you just start from the bottom, take the denominator, multiply by the whole number here, and then you add the numerator. All right, let's take another example. So let's say we have 2 5/7. So the whole number is 2, and then we have a fraction 5/7 beside it, or 5/7. Remember how we're going to start? We start from the denominator at the bottom. We're changing this one to an improper fraction. Take the denominator, and then you multiply by the whole number. When you multiply 7 by 2, what do we get? 7 times 2 gives us 14, right? We get 14. Let's keep that in our mind. 14. So once we get the 14, then what are we going to do? We add. All right. So 14 plus 5 gives us 19. And then what do we get for the denominator here? Remember, the denominator does not change. So what was the denominator here? 7. So we just, oops, let me change the color. So the denominator was 7. So we maintain the 7. All right. So 2 5/7 gives us 19/7, or 19 over 7. All right. All right. So quickly, let me ask you this. If you had this 5/1/8, and then you have to change to an improper fraction, what do you think is going to be? Now I want you to try this. 5/1/8 to an improper fraction. All right, so just like we always do, we start from the bottom. 8 times 5. What is 8 times 5? 40. Yes. So 8 times 5 gives us 40. And then we move on ahead to add the numerator here, which is 1. And that gives us 41. And then what is the denominator? Is it 5? No, it's not 5. We said we just maintain the denominator that we have here. So 8 will just move down, and then we get our denominator to be 8. All right. So you don't need to struggle about the denominator. You don't need to stress so much. It is already there. You only have to rewrite it. For the numerator, we're going to multiply 8 by 5, and then we add 1 to it to get 81. Sorry, we add 1 to it to get 41, and then we maintain our denominator. All right. Now to what we have to discuss today. Changing from an improper fraction to a mixed number. All right, so how do we change from an improper fraction to a mixed number? Are you ready? All right, let's begin then. So to change from an improper fraction, so let's first write down an improper fraction here, and then let's see how we can change to a mixed number. So this is an improper fraction. Now let me ask you, how do you know that this is an improper fraction? Remember, that is because the numerator is bigger than the denominator, right? We see 8 is bigger than 5. So this is not a proper fraction. This is an improper fraction. So how are we going to change this one to a mixed number? The first thing that you do is that we're going to divide the numerator. We're going to divide the numerator. What is the numerator here? The numerator is 8. So we're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. Let me write this well. We're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. So what is 8 divided by 1? What is 8? How many times can 5 go into 8? In a sense, how many times can 5 go into 8? 5 can go into 8 once. All right. 8 divided by 5 gives us 1. What remainder does it leave? It leaves a remainder of 3. All right. 5 goes into 8 once with a remainder of 3. So how are we going to change this one to a mixed number? Remember, we said 5 goes into 8 once. So when you divide, whatever you get, that is what you're going to write as a whole number. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to change the colors back. All right. So when we divide 8 by 5, we get 1. All right. What is the remainder? 3. And then the denominator always will not change. So we maintain it. So when we divide 8, this 8 here, by the 5, whatever we get becomes our whole number here. And then the remainder becomes the numerator, and the denominator will not change. It is still going to be the 5. All right. I'm going to take another example, and I'm sure you're going to understand. So let's take another example. Let's take, so let's say we had, I want to take a bigger number. So we're going to change this one to a mixed number. We're going to change this to a mixed number. Remember what we do? We're going to take the denominator to divide the numerator. We're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. All right. So we're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. When we divide 9 by 2, what do we get? How many times does 2 go into 9? 2 goes into 9 4 times. All right. So that gives us our whole number, 4. All right. So let's write our 4 down. And then what remainder does it leave? Remainder 1. So that gives us our, I don't know why I keep writing it's tilted. All right. So that gives us our numerator, the remainder. The remainder becomes the numerator. And then the denominator, you know what is going to be? This. The 2 will not change. That is what is going to be the denominator. So the denominator will be 2. All right. So 9 over 2 as a mixed number is going to be 4.5. All right. So I'm going to go over again. I'm going to go over what we're saying is that if you have any improper fraction and you have to change to a mixed number, what you do is that pick the denominator, divide the numerator by the denominator. Whatever number you get, that is going to be the whole number, and then the remainder becomes the numerator, and the denominator will not change. All right? Let's take another example. Or maybe we can pause for you to write, and then we take another example. This time, let's take an example from your note. So we have, I think that is the last page. So we have this as an improper fraction, and we're going to change this one to a mixed number. All right? So when we divide 7 by 5, what do we get? 7 divided by 5, it gives us 1. What is the remainder? If 5 goes into 7 once, what remainder does it leave? 2. All right? Remember what comes as the denominator? The denominator will not change. So we had our denominator to be 5 here, so we're going to maintain our 5. All right? Or if you want to take break it down, like take your time to do the division on the side, you can do that. If you have 7 divided by 5, it gives you 1, remainder 2. All right? Or you can also use a long division, that is also fine. All right. So let's take the second example. Second example is 12/7. 12 over 7 here. We're changing this one to an improper. Sorry, it's already improper. We're changing it to a mixed number. Remember what we're going to do? Let's divide the numerator by the denominator. 7 divided by, 12 divided by 7. What does it give us? 12 divided by 7. How many times does 7 go into 12? 7 goes into 12 just once. What remainder does it leave? It leaves a remainder of 5. So our remainder becomes our numerator, do not forget. And then what becomes our denominator? 12? What do you think? The denominator will always remain the same. It's not going to change. Our denominator is 7, so our denominator will be 7 here too. All right? So when we change this to a mixed number, we're going to get 1/5/7. All right? Let's take another example. So these are the first 2 examples in the notes. Let's take the other examples there with this. I'm going to number them the same way you have in your notes. So let's say A, 15/7. Remember what we're going to do? Divide 15 by 7. What remainder does it leave? So first, when we divide 15 by 7, we know that 7 goes into 15 2 times. Remember, 2 times 7 or 7 times 2 is 14. So 7 goes into 15 2 times. What remainder does it leave? 1. All right, so the remainder will always become the numerator. And then, what is the denominator here? The denominator is the same denominator we have here. We're not going to change it, so it's going to be the same. So we have 7. All right? Now I'm going to tell you something before we move on to the next examples. Sometimes you may want to check if what you're doing is right. So what you can do is that once you convert this one to a mixed number, you convert the improper fraction to a mixed number, you may want to try to bring it back to see if you're going to get the same thing. If you get a different answer, If you change the mixed number back to an improper fraction and you get a different improper fraction from what you already had, then you know you made a mistake. So let's see. Let's try to change this one back. You don't need to do this in your notes. I'm just trying to show you something. So let's try to change this one back to an improper fraction. What is 2 times 7? Or 7 times 2? It gives us 14. And then when we add 1, 14 plus 1 gives us 15. And then we maintain our denominator, which is 7. All right? So we actually got the same thing. So we can be confident that we did the right thing. All right. So let's do the next example. B. B is in your notes, so you can check. We had 23 fifths, or 23 over 5. We're going to change this one to a mixed number. What do we do first? What do you think? We divide 23 by 5. Or how many times does 5 go into 23? 5 goes into 23 4 times. All right? Remember, 4 times 5 is 20. So 5 goes into 23 4 times. All right, so that gives us a whole number here. 5 goes into 23, 4 times. What remainder does it leave? It leaves a remainder of 3, right? Remember, we said 5 goes into 23 4 times, which is like 20. 4 times 5 is 20. So when we subtract 23 from 20, we get 3. So that is the remainder. And then what do we have as the denominator? The denominator is already in the question, which will not change. So the denominator is 5. All right. I'm going to do the next one together with you, and then you can try the others. So the next one is C. C is 21 over 2. To a mixed number, how many times does 2 go into 21? 2 goes into 21 10 times. What is the remainder? 2 times 10 is 20, right? So it leaves a remainder of 1. And then what is going to be the denominator? The denominator is 2. If you want to check your answer, you can just multiply and see, or change this one back to an improper number, an improper fraction. So 2 times 10 is 20, plus 1 is 21 over 2. All right? Okay. Any questions? All right. So I'll just go over this one again. So remember, when we divide 21 by 2, we get 10, remainder 1. All right. Sorry. What I wrote does not appear in the video. It appears on my screen though. So I said when we divide 21 by 2, it gives us 10, remainder 1. All right. So 10 becomes a whole number. 1 is the numerator, and our denominator here will always not change. I don't know, I think it still did not appear. Let me bring it just a bit closer. So I said we divide 21 by 2, we get 10, remainder 1. All right. So yeah, 10 becomes our whole number, 1 is our numerator, and then the denominator will not change. It's already in the question. All right, so we have some examples here. We had D, E, and F. I want you to try D, E, and F yourselves, and then let's see what you get. I'll check them tomorrow when I come around. And if you have any questions, Miss Oliver is there to help you. So I'm sure you can ask Miss Oliver. She will be there to help you. And then when I come tomorrow, we're going to do our assignment tomorrow. Okay? All right. Thank you so much.